The warning signs, possible warning signs, and red flags, spotting them before a school shooting happens. Khari Bodrick, mental health advocate, best-selling author, head of the Khari Bodrick Foundation, is with me. First of all, am I pronouncing your name correct?
Yes, sir. That is absolutely correct.
All right. Let's talk about this for a little bit. In this particular situation, I know Governor Abbott, and I speak with him pretty often. He came out and he told us about the 3 posts that the suspected shooter made. But it doesn't appear that there's any, at least documented, mental health problems at the time of the news conference. But his former classmates said, he was kind of sketchy. He showed aggressive behavior. What can we look for? I mean, by the way, whatever you tell me, just because a kid falls into that category doesn't mean he's going to go shoot up the school. But, we can all learn something. What are red flags for something like this?
Well, first off, I want to offer my condolences to the family that have lost these loved ones during these tragic events. But, I feel like when it comes to this situation and we look back at it, the question should be, like, how do we ensure this never happens again? And I think, honestly, it starts at the top. It starts with the government. And I've listened to Abbott a lot. I agree with a lot of things he says. I feel like everyone processes this information differently. And as we see more of these tragic events by people who own guns or get access to guns, it creates a dialogue. It needs to become more political as well. And every time this happens in our country, we bring up 2 different things, which is mental health and then the guns. And I think we do a better job as a country of ensuring that we are providing these mental health resources to people and take a deeper look at the gun laws as well. And you can also look at the schools, for example. Oftentimes in these school settings, there are counselors and social service professionals along with school administration who are actively engaged in making assessments of student behaviors and making threats of assessments of threats as well that's going on within the school. And this is the case for many schools across the country, but we need to make sure this is mandatory. And this goes from pre-kindergarten all the way up to the college level.
Okay, what is it? What is it needs to be mandatory?
Yeah, so I think overall we need to make sure that these assessments, making these behavioral assessments, for instance, looking at these children in the classrooms, like noticing if anything is off, if they are suddenly off isolated, or if they have tantrums whenever they are asked certain questions or interactions with students. As teachers, as administrative leaders, we should be watching out for these things and, also engaging with the parents or the guardians as well.
Yeah, okay. I guess, we differ in the sense that I don't think the government can fix anything. If you don't believe me, pack a lunch and sit out front the DMV some afternoon. Anytime you're throwing folks or people under the bus to garner a vote on one side or the other, our best interest sort of gets put on the back burner. But what do people need to be looking for? I mean, parents that are really parents. I'm not talking about just a guardian that makes sure you got a roof and food.
Right.
For the most part, they know if their kids got problems, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And this is, outside the school when it comes to the parents, just like you said, they need to make sure that they're doing the best to make sure the students in their right state of mind, continuously checking in on them, observing their behavior. If you do notice a change in behavior, just offering some assistance, because it could be a much deeper issue as we see in this situation.
So, from a mental health standpoint, what should teachers be looking for? I mean, it seems redundant to even ask that question. I would imagine they've got all kinds of training, but what are we looking for? We're looking for the outcast, the loner, pulling wings off flies. I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's a little bit of things that you've mentioned as well. If you see some kids, or it's even the smaller things that are not eating or not sleeping as much, things like that. If you're actively engaged in these one-on-one conference meetings with the parents or the guardians when they come in, and just comparing that to what you see at the school level. If they're not performing as well in the classroom, that can be another thing. Just constantly checking in with these students and making sure that things are okay in the classroom and outside the classroom as well. And if you're speaking to children at under 18, they're most likely going to speak up about whatever's going on, if they're struggling with things in their personal life. And that would be a topic of discussion. You just take it from there. So there's definitely a lot that can be done at the school level as well. Not to put too much pressure on them, but, this is going to be a partnership between them and the guardians. But this is something that we can do, take small steps day by day to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Look, we're not going to stop bad people from doing bad things if they really want to do it. So the best we can do is prepare ourselves, build a wall, if we can, to protect the innocent among us from those people that would do them harm. It just, this happens. I was asking earlier, it started, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, maybe less than that. Kids killing kids. I mean, how screwed up has our culture gotten to where my daughter texted me. I come from a law enforcement family. I was the black sheep. I went to law school, but her husband is a sergeant with the K-9 division, and she's been around cops her whole life. And we were talking back and forth, and it was like, what's happened to the nation? What's happened to the country? And the first thing that hit my mind, I've been doing this a long time, a couple of decades, and I guess through the sheer repetition of doing a show every day, it sort of stays with you. The first thing that hit my mind is that this nation no longer values human life, and you can see it manifest everywhere. We don't, not all of us, but as a nation, we don't value human life the way we once did. When I was in high school, every other vehicle had a rifle in the back window, and nobody ever shot anybody because we valued human life. Now all of a sudden, it's I don't have an answer. For me personally, I do. But when the government swoops in and says, "Okay, we're going to change the gun laws, that'll take care of everything," no, it won't. Instead of shooting me, you're going to stab me. Instead of stabbing me, you're going to run over me when I walk out to the parking lot. But it's the culture. How do you turn the culture around?
Man, that's a very good question, and all valid points that you mentioned just now. That's going to be a process, but it's going to take everybody. It's going to take your perspective. It's going to take my perspective. This has to be a topic of discussion. And I think that, whenever these things come up, it's so uncomfortable for so many people to talk about. But we can't take more time off from discussing this and having this. And it starts with a conversation. So this is definitely very, very, very valuable to me. Get a chance to hear your story and your perspective on it. It gives me some different insight on what I can do as a mental health advocate and when I approach the community and these families as well. So it's going to take everyone. It's definitely going to take everyone. It's going to take conversation. And I think that's where we can start. But like you said, it's, changing the gun laws. It can change some things and it may not. It's a lot more that goes into this. And I think, as mental health advocates, we need to do more and have a different perspective as well. And I think, we just have to have these conversations more. And I think that's ultimately going to put up some more general ideas for people and come up with some type of solution.
Listen, Khari Bodrick, mental health advocate, best-selling author, head of the Khari Bodrick Foundation. I appreciate you spending some time with us. And you're right. People need to start speaking up before the shots ring out, not after. All right. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.